So I got a request to also make sliding doors that stay open when you're there. Let's take a look-see then. Let's start with a new. Or we can just add sliding doors to this. That would be cool. So let's start with some doors. Like so. And I'll now make each of these doors into its own script brush model. And I'll give one of them a target name left, and one of them the target name right. So now the biggest question is, how far should they open and which way? This one starts at x is 312, goes through x is 248. So it should open 64 units on x-axis. And this one is named right, so the right one should go to minus 64. So the left one should go to plus 64. Let's open our script again. And make another setup doors thing. However, this thing should be threaded, and I forgot to make a trigger which checks if there's any person near the door. So a thread, and the trigger, and I'll call that trigger door trigger. So then the trick should wait until someone touches it. As I don't care who touches it, I don't need to put a comma player there, so that's nice. And then the door should open. But given that I have two doors, I cannot properly use move X and move I or move Z. I need to use move 2, or I'll need to use other trickery, but I don't want to, so I'll just use move 2. But in order to store their original position, I'll store their position at map start. So I'll just store their origin at map start. And as such, I can just make the doors move open whenever someone is there. I need to double check which door needed to go where though. The right door needed to go to minus 64. And whatever time. I like doors to be a bit slow. And to have a startup delay and a slow down delay. But I kinda want to have it move from start origin, so it doesn't get fucked up later on. So then the door should be open, or at least after I wait 2 seconds. And then the door should remain open for at least 3 seconds, or 3 seconds plus whatever time a player is there. So at least 3 seconds. I can combine this easily enough into a wait 5. And then what I need to do is just check every frame if anyone is inside that trigger. The trigger will not trigger because that's over here and I'm over here. I will make a while true loop, but I'll break out of this later on. You'll see. So every frame I need to get all players. Which is easily done. Then I'll need to loop over all players. And I'll need to check if they are touching the trigger. What happens then? I start out with the notion that no one was touching the trigger. But when I find someone who is, I set that to true. And I'll just break out of this for loop, because if one player is touching, I'm not interested in what the others are doing. I know enough. That means that if someone is touching the trigger, over here touching will be true. Now I need to have at least 3 seconds of players not touching it. So I'll remove this wait 5 and make it into a wait 2. And I'll set a no touching time of 3 seconds. So whenever a player is touching it, this time will reset. Back to 3 seconds. However, if no one is touching the trigger, I can reduce this time by the frame time, which is exactly 0.05 by default and on most other configurations as well. So then I can check if the no touching time is smaller than 0, because that means that there were no players for 3 seconds worth. If that happens, and I'm still in this while loop, I can just break out of this while loop using break. So then I'll be at the end of this while loop. And I know that if I'm here, then no players will have touched the trigger for 3 seconds. If you missed something, there will be a video on demand. So, if it's not been touched for 3 seconds, I can just close the door. Which is a simple copy, this script. But instead of moving to a certain offset, I'll just move to their starting positions. And in order to fix this entire while loop, I also need to wait 1 frame worth of time between each iteration of the loop. So, then the doors are closing, and it immediately goes back to waiting for this trigger. Because there is no wait till, just a move to. That means that if the doors are closing and someone enters the trigger, then the doors will open again immediately, although they will also always take 2 seconds to open. That might be a bit slow if they're like half closed when someone enters, but at this point I don't care. So I'll just keep it like this. I'll save my map and compile it. And I'll repack it. And I'll copy it back to my main. And of course Windows 10 lets me watch a nice black screen. I'll start my map. I'll start a secondary color. I'll connect to my local server. And as you can see, the doors are closed. If I approach them, they open. If I stay here, they should remain open. I'll just wait here 5 seconds. Yeah, they seem pretty open to me. So then I'll walk back. I'll wait 3 seconds and they're closing. So that's nice. If someone else was in this game, he could also stand here instead of me. While I had opened these doors, he could keep them open. Now I can show you also what happens when you have those doors closing and then have a player enter. Then it goes very, very slow. Now that's not a problem for me because, yeah, no. Anyway, I'll just pick up the key again, and to make a point I'll open these doors. I'll disable the fizzler. I can still walk through these doors without them closing on me. And I don't die until I'm in the next room. Doors close, and because the trigger is going through the doors, I can also open them from this side. So that's nice. And yeah, I use the COD4 accent name just because it gives me G-Sync support in game, which is pretty neat. Anyway, that's sliding doors. It's also a reason why sliding doors are so damn hard to implement properly.